Welcome, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. Today, we're really stepping away from the endless, deafening noise of modern life, and we're embarking on a deeply reflective, philosophical journey. We're going to be looking at the translated words and the core teachings of the revered Koppala Gavi Siddeshwara Swamiji. And look, this isn't just about us reading a transcript together, right? It's about taking ancient wisdom and figuring out exactly how it fits into our super fast-paced, highly demanding modern lives. We're going to deconstruct his powerful discourse to uncover a real, workable framework for legacy, for finding genuine joy, and for creating unity in what is often a very divided world. So, get ready to shift your perspective. Who will cry when you die soon? Just let that sink in for a second. It's a pretty jarring, uncomfortable question, isn't it? It completely stops you in your tracks. You know, when we look at the Swamiji's discourse, he doesn't exactly ease us into a comfortable, easygoing conversation about just being a good person. No, he hits us with this profound reality check right out of the gate. We spend our days so caught up in emails, errands, social media, climbing all these various ladders. But this question, it forces us to hit pause and look at the absolute endpoint of the whole shebang. It commands our attention. It jars us right out of our daily routine and demands that we ask ourselves, what kind of emotional resonance are we truly creating in the world around us? Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the universal human state and stripping the ego. To truly answer that jarring question about our legacy, we really have to understand our baseline state as human beings. In his discourse, the Swamiji states very simply, but with immense weight, they're also beggars, we are also beggars. I want you to just take a moment and sit with that heavy statement. In a world that is so completely obsessed with status, net worth, follower counts, titles, this is the ultimate leveling of the playing field. It really doesn't matter what side of town you live on, what kind of car you drive, or what your job title is. The Swamiji just cuts right through all those superficial layers that we work so incredibly hard to build up around ourselves, and he establishes a shared, equal reality for all of us. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how we have to completely reframe the word beggar. We usually associate that word with financial destitution, right? But the Swamiji is using it here as a profound equalizer. In this context, a beggar is not about your financial standing at all. It's a universal spiritual state. Think about it for a second. We are all vulnerable to time. We are all entirely dependent on the universe for our next breath, for our health, for the love of the people around us. We are all essentially holding our hands out to the universe, asking for meaning and grace. And recognizing this vulnerability, it doesn't make us weak. It makes us humble. It literally places every single one of us on the exact same footing. Let's move on and see how this builds. Section 2, confronting our mortality and facing our limited time. By accepting that universal humility, we are naturally guided into a pretty stark confrontation with our ultimate reality. Once the ego is entirely stripped away and we realize we're all in this vulnerable state together, we have to ask ourselves, what are we actually doing with the time we've been given? Are you living a life that simply consumes resources, or are you actively creating value in the hearts of others? If all of our titles and wealth just fall away at the end, because, as we just established, we're all spiritual beggars, what is the actual emotional footprint you're going to leave behind? The Swamiji is forcing us to turn these words inward here. Are we living in a way that generates deep, lasting connections? The kind of connections that would cause someone to truly mourn our absence? Section 3, beyond modern fashions and finding real solutions. And this brilliantly illustrates the next point. Now that we've confronted the heavy reality of our mortality, how do we actually live better? The Swamiji draws a very stark contrast between two ways of existing. On one side, we have what he calls fashions. Now, this is the endless chase for materialism, the doom scrolling for trends, the hollow pursuit of just trying to look successful on social media. But on the other side, we have loving their lives, which is finding true internal fulfillment and meaning. The source material is crystal clear here. People who truly matter love their lives way more than they love fashions. It's all about shifting your energy away from external validation and pouring it entirely into internal satisfaction. Section 4. Joy in small things and internal fulfillment. So, if we aren't chasing the next big trend or that next big promotion to find our happiness, where does fulfillment actually come from? Well, the Swamiji gives us this beautiful, profound piece of advice. Delight in small things of life. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But really think about how difficult this actually is in practice. When your mind is all cluttered with ego and the constant anxiety of modern trends, you completely miss the small things. But when you strip all of that away, suddenly you have the capacity to find immense, comforting joy in the microscopic details of your daily routine. A quiet cup of coffee in the morning, the sound of rain hitting the roof, a brief, genuine smile from a stranger during a really stressful commute. The Swamiji is telling us that a life well lived, a life that actually leaves a legacy, isn't necessarily built on these grand, earth-shattering achievements. It's built by fiercely appreciating the tiny, beautiful moments that happen to us every single day, while we're usually busy looking elsewhere. Section 5. Unity across all races and our shared vulnerability. So the crucial point is that this journey of inner reflection naturally expands outward into how we treat the rest of the world. The Swamiji's discourse gives us a literal blueprint here, a really tangible daily mantra we can actually use. First, delight in the small things of life. Second, love your actual life more than the superficial fashions of the world. And third, live as close neighbors with people of all different races. And that last point is absolutely vital. Because if we are all spiritual beggars, if we are genuinely all equal, then the borders, the races, and the divisions we construct are completely meaningless. True legacy involves living in deep, respectful harmony with everyone around you, seeing them as fellow travelers on this exact same vulnerable journey. And that brings us full circle, right back to the beginning. We've decoded the Swamiji's wisdom, from acknowledging our universal humility to finding joy in the microscopic, to fully embracing our neighbors. But as we know, philosophy is pretty much useless if it isn't applied. So I'm going to leave you with this. Take a hard look at the way you're spending your energy today. Look at what you actually value. How will you change your daily mantra today, right now, to ensure that someone truly cries for you tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.